We're ready for the panel part of the event today. I would like to ask the panel members on stage, Horst Streck, Simon Ususkin, Lennart Sas, Michiel Sala en Guido Landheer. So, great, applaus. Woo! Great, thank you guys for being here. Lennart, I don't hear you. Good to see you. So I'll introduce you quickly, and then maybe you guys can give us just a one-liner about, or shall I? Well, I'll introduce you and then just say something about yourself if you need to. Well, shall I do an introduction? Then I'll do. Okay, Lennart Sas, one of the first, maybe the oldest indie company in the Netherlands. No, there's
that's
two more.
Evo.
That's Evo. That's right.
Else.
That's Evo.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. One of the first indie companies in the Netherlands, was making games since early 90s from school.
Yeah, 97.
Yeah.
As the official start.
And basically started the game already while you were students, I think, building it.
Yes, we did an internship at Epic Games with Tim Sweeney and
there you go.
Cliffy.
There's the link with.
That's how it started.
Excellent. Well, and today you run a studio in Delft, and you guys just released Age of Wonders, which 2 or 3, I forget.
3, yeah.
3, which was a remake or not a new version of one of your first games that you built.
Yeah, we self-published that. Yeah.
Excellent. Horst, we just we know you now as the chairman of the Dutch Game Association, but you also are one of the co-founders of the Juda Games.
Yeah, the Juda Games Studio, that's correct.
And you also do gamification.
Right now I do gamification, that's correct.
Excellent. Yes. And you've been part of the game industry for at least 10 years.
Too long.
Yes.
But still fun.
And Simon, you're from the UK.
Yes.
And you founded IQ.
I did, yes.
Yeah, and you already were working in the game industry before, and you have an outside perspective as a Brit on the Dutch industry. Plus, can you just summarize what IQ does?
IQ helps online and mobile game developers grow their games to be great ones, and we do that by providing performance marketing and analytics products and services.
So kind of like business intelligence, and you help with acquiring users.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Guido Landheer from the Ministry of Economic Affairs, involved in all sorts of economic activities. You get to see lots of different sectors. You're part of the top sector initiators. And what is there anything that you would like to add?
That's me. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Huh? Yes. Great. Michiel, Little Chicken Company.
No, that was it. That was it.
Yeah. I'm just making sure that if I forget something, Michiel will add. Also, well, you guys have been around for at least 12 years. 2001, been making entertainment games, advert games. You used to be the experts on virtual games. Then you moved into the applied gaming sphere, and now you do entertaining applied games.
They should be entertaining, but yeah, no, that's a correct summary. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you for being here today. Well, now we get the panels. The panels have, we have 3 panels with one key question that came up out of the panels. Can maybe Joris, Alice, and Louis come up and just briefly explain what the main subject is that you'd like to discuss with the panel today? No.
Okay, so for our panel, very briefly, we've been talking about a lot of things. We've been talking about ethics and discovered that all the game developers there want to make games as addictive as possible because that's a sign of quality and that's what we should do.
And how ethical is that?
And how ethical is that? There was also a talk about how we approach game design, and we could use more methods, but not enough to kill creativity. And we should have specialists that can work in a team with other specialists. That's basically the gist of everything that we saw. But the real question that arises from the workshop is that looking at the developers, as I said, there's a lot of quality developers in Holland already, but we don't reach our full potential with the people that we have, and we like to know why is that so.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you very much. Okay, Louis. Yeah, we'll do 3 questions and we'll do them all. So here we go. There you go. Entrepreneurship.
Yes.
thanks everybody in the entrepreneurship workshop. We were with 47, which was a big group, but we got a lot out of it. The notes are still upstairs. I'll take them with me. So a few statistics: 47 participants, 50% of them were entrepreneurs. 10% want to be an entrepreneur. 0.5% never want to be an entrepreneur.
This is
but
what
we're
IQ
still
does,
in the
right?
workshop. And we had the rest was not entrepreneur. Very interesting. Yet 30% said they actually need help at the moment in their business, which is great for the platform, of course. And 15% of them know what ClickNL or the top sector creative industry can actually mean for their business.
Okay.
So there's some evangelization to do, I think. So the 3 killer ideas that came out of it. One related to sales and marketing was to build a knowledge platform for sales and marketing. The second one is on another piece of paper. Was the winning idea is, the winning need is how can we bridge the gap between capital and investors and great, brilliant, creative game companies?
Excellent question. Thank you very much. Awesome. Great. And Alice? So,
I brought
the
everything.
key question.
The key question.
Yeah.
Well, we really had a lot of topics to discuss, and I want to thank everyone very much. And I will work on it and to get it on the platform. But the key question is how can we... sorry, I'm combining two now.
Yeah. It's okay.
How can we let entrepreneurs ask the right questions to scientists in a way that they both will be receptive to the question and the answers?
Excellent. Thank you very much. Awesome. All right. Well, the goal of this panel is we have actually set a goal, and we were discussing what this panel should be about, and I said world domination, but that was not humble enough. So we made it how to reach the top 3 in Europe, and then next year we'll do world domination. So guys, here, this is what we're going to talk about. Some of you have been in the game industry for a long time. Some of you come from the outside. We have government on the table. So this is really a good opportunity to discuss. Leonard, how do we reach at least the 3rd position in Europe, at least beat the UK in terms of turnover, lots of people working, making money? How are we going to do that in the next 3 to 5 years? Oh, wait,
Okay,
I'm actually
thank
doing
you.
a double.
Yeah, well, it's a very big question, of course,
I
if
know,
I
it's
know
small.
it.
Small answer.
Yeah, well, if I look at the Netherlands, I see a lot of cool indie games. I see a lot of companies that are a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
But if I look at the games that are really at the top in terms of revenue, those games that have a certain stickiness, they have a turn of lasting appeal that a lot of Dutch companies I don't think seem to chase. We make lots of little
they don't
fun.
have the appeal, or they don't?
Well, they don't chase that sort of stickiness. They're like a game where you can lose hundreds of hours in, and
The addictiveness.
The addictiveness, yeah. Like little action games,
Or
the little racing games, fun for you see lots of games that with all respect lose their taste very quickly, and
So
I think we need to look into making games from a development perspective that have a lasting appeal, whether it's free to play, whether it's premium games. If you look at premium games like Skyrim or Civilization or Minecraft, they have all lasting appeal. If you look at in the free to play space, Clash of Clans, League of Legends, they have lasting appeal. And I think that in terms of entertainment games, that is very important. And you can generate cash flow, repeat business, and not go from indie game to indie game, and you'll hit a brick wall sooner or later.
Okay, I would like to replace the word addiction with engagement, because I think there's good ways of doing it, there's bad ways of doing it, but there's nothing wrong with a fun game, right? An engaging game long term.
Yep.
Any of you guys want to respond to that?
I had a discussion with Mark Overmars and with some other people about what is the problem? Why aren't we 10 times as big?
Yeah.
And the question, which is also, I guess, for Little Chicken, we're 28 people and we are creative entrepreneurs. We love what we do. We love creating games. But really finding the market, making everybody talks about a business model, but taking the ride, taking the abuse, and really doing that's difficult. And if you look, I think we have now 23 schools that teach you to build a game.
At least.
But
yeah.
how many schools are there into basically, where is Nijrode in teaching you, okay, to be an entrepreneur in gaming? And if we have, basically they're none, or they're very small.
What did you go for the school for? HAO?
Yeah.
You're one of the rare.
Yeah, and my brother was gaming, and
Yeah.
yeah.
I see Simon or Guido. There's
No, in general, I would like to add that I think first thing is to have the best products, and I can more tell you something about in general. The top sector approach, maybe it's good to say that's something it's designed by the Dutch government for the earning capacity of the Dutch economy, together with solving societal challenges like climate, health, and things like that. I think that's a comparative advantage for the game industry here. It's also the link with the other sectors. There are a lot of examples, also the link with gaming, with the life sciences, the link with logistics. I think that is a competitive advantage here in the Netherlands. So you have to put all your innovative strength on that field, and you do it together with the research institutes. And the second point is you have to sell it to other countries. I think Germany is a very important country for that. I think you're doing a great job, for instance, by mission to the Mexico. I think that's the name. So focus on innovation, so your product is good, and sell it to other countries. That will be important also to be in the top 3.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. And Simon, there's actually 2 questions now. One is what we initiated, and the other one is the subject that Leonard triggered. So go ahead. What would you like to say?
Well, may I thank you for hosting this event in English, or at least the panel. Yeah. I actually think it starts at the question. I would love people here to be less humble. Why aren't we talking about how we can be the number 1 in Europe? And I think that goes in some part to the heart of the potential issue of ambition. That, and it ties in with a lot of the thoughts and comments that you just said about, I think one is that maybe game developers potentially start with building games that they love, and I think you have to have a passion about what you do. Yeah. If you don't have passion, it's going to be very difficult to be successful. Have you thought about the market first, about what you think the market wants? Do you understand, and have you thought about which demographic you're going out and building a game for? And that's I think, one important factor about the starting point. And the second, I would completely back what Michiel says about, guys, we have such an amazing creative talent. I've been living here for 8 years, and it's fantastic, the people and the education that we provide to students. But my God, do we have a relatively poor entrepreneurial culture that encourages people to take risks, is not fear of failure. And I think that in part is an explanation as to why we have not achieved what we can achieve as a country.
Is that unique to the Netherlands, or, I mean, how would you compare that to the UK in terms of 2 things, education and entrepreneurship, combining it with creativity, and the other one that you just mentioned is fear of failure, which is an interesting one. But
I think England 10 years ago is a very different place to where it is today. Yeah. I certainly think when I last lived there certainly, for example, was not the government support that there is today to the games industry and to the creative industry as a whole.
It's good to know the UK used to be one of the leading nations game-wise with America and Japan, and it's known for the big studios that grew in the 80s and the 90s, but apparently there's a very little of a startup scene.
I think it's because it had a huge problem, and that's the island mentality coming through as well, making the change to seeing what was going on in the world of games and in the world industry, and making that change not only in terms of business model but in terms of console to online. We were slow. But if I look at it today, I'd say that there's some very exciting companies, some very exciting schemes, government initiatives to encourage startups to take risks, etc. It's a very different scene.
What I've noticed, we have a lot of startups from schools because that's where we get our new blood, and that means the average age of the startup is 23. And in the UK, you see a lot of startups from people who've had a career in the actual big industry, and they're by age 35. and they start then, and they have a total different mentality. For them, talking to an investor is very logical, because they know they won't be able to make it without, and that's interesting angle. Yeah.
I think one point is in the Netherlands in general, 10, 15 years ago, we were at least, at least entrepreneurial country in Europe. If you see now, we are one of the most entrepreneurial countries in Europe. But the problem is that we have a lot of self-employed people, and they are not willing to take the risk to make the next steps to become a bigger company. And you see that in terms of, so
the startup phase is not the problem; it's getting to the next phase.
Exactly.
Okay. Huh. All right. And so one more question: why is that? Why is that in the Netherlands?
You have some people here, maybe. That's something about mentality. Second point is also that people like to be free. Yeah. It's a mentality, entrepreneurship. If you have a lot of employees, you're not free anymore. And there are some people say there are also some governmental hurdles.
I see. Lennart, I saw you. Let me start with Lennart and then Horst. Oh, Horst didn't have a moment yet. Go for it, Horst.
Go for it.
Well, he was waving at me, so he's so excited to say something. So,
well,
go ahead.
No, I'm not excited to say something, but
no, but Lennart, yeah.
I just wanted to add when I have a lot of experience, and that means that I've made probably more mistakes than anybody here. But one thing I remembered is don't take no for an answer too soon. If you go to publishers and want to make a deal and it doesn't work out, try to figure out why that is the case. We did it with Juda Games and improved our games, and finally all the doors of the publishers opened, but not by knocking on it one time, but most of the time 4 or 5 times. But they will open eventually.
Yeah. Lennart?
Thank you. I think one of the issues is that a lot of people who work in games know that it's a very volatile business, and making commitment to hiring employees, especially in the Netherlands, is of course very hard. And I think in America it's a lot easier to hire and fire staff.
You can scale down any minute.
Yes, yeah. So that's an issue, and I think also the profile of investors that you find in Silicon Valley and maybe also in some other countries is very different than the types of investors you tend to find in the Netherlands. I know a couple of I don't know. I think the money in the Netherlands has been made in real estate or in other businesses, and I've seen some of those people investing in games and it going horribly wrong because they just don't understand, the risks and all of the fluidness that is involved in games. And maybe in other countries they know that.
But is there also something in our culture that impacts that, Simon? I would like you to comment on that.
Oh wow. There's one of the stickers that actually came from a great friend of mine, Oliver, upstairs on the entrepreneurship table. Yeah. I think one of the main reasons is we have not had a wonderfully big exit in this country for then private investors and potentially, I would say, also government to really think, my word, this is a industry that is
You mean in the game industry?
The games industry.
Okay.
We haven't had a Rovio. We haven't had a Supercell. We haven't had yet, to date, a leading example where, and I personally from experience have been around a lot of private institutions and private people to pitch ideas regarding investing to. And unless you can have that leading light that everybody else can hang around and think, oh, I want a piece of that action. Okay. It's hard for then the others to follow. We're sheep.
Yeah. I'm half American, so I've lived in the US and here, and there's one thing that I noticed, and somebody pointed out to me, and they said venture capital in the US is called risicokapitaal in Nederland. Venture sounds adventurous. And wow, let's try it. Let's give it a try. And so there's something there, don't you think?
There's a wonderful story about Andreessen Horowitz, which is the venture capital firm that's responsible for some of the most successful online startups. And they've got the $100 a minute rule, which I love. It's a rule that any partner that has a meeting with a potential new startup in their offices that turns up late for the meeting has to pay the entrepreneur $100 out of cash out of their own wallet there and then. Wow. It's established a level of respect for startups and the relationship between venture capital investors and startups come, please, we want to hear your ideas. We welcome you, is a completely different attitude to the one that I've experienced, at least in Holland, where there tends to be people are very introverted, very private. It's very hard to know who the investors are in this country. Who can I go to with my great idea? Yeah. And I think if you can start from a cultural point of view of breaking those barriers down, you'll see a lot of success later on down the line.
Yeah. To get investment money, Horst, you've had experience with it in the Netherlands. Is there something different about our culture that impacts bridging the gap between creative companies and investors? Or is it just that we're not good at pitching and the investors don't really understand us?
I don't know, actually. I'm not sure, but it's always a matter of trust.
Yeah.
I had some investor coming by also, and it takes some guts to trust someone in that area. So that's difficult. So if they, in my opinion, we were in Finland, and that was the first good investment story I've heard. I trust the woman who told their story. We need them here.
Is investment and growing to like a guerrilla-sized company or larger, is that the only good way to do entrepreneurship? Sometimes it sounds like that if you look at the startup scene and all that stuff. Leonard, you still own you're fully owner of your company.
With my co-founder.
Right.
Yes.
But I mean, you guys have never gotten an investor as part of your ownership of the organization, but you have worked with an investor with your last game.
Notch, Marcus Persson, he invested.
He's from Minecraft. He's the designer and inventor of Minecraft.
Yeah, he's like the archetypical. He's like an archangel investor. He's not an angel investor, but you can't go any better than that.
Right. And what does that mean? What does that mean? Because what's the difference between an archangel investor and a hardcore Donald Trump?
Well, it's very little strings attached, very little involvement. A relationship that's fully based on trust.
Yeah. And why did he invest in your game?
Someone who understands the business.
Did he invest in the project or in your company?
In the project. Yeah.
And why did he do that?
It was for him. I think it was a passion project. That he really.
But you knew he played your game, right?
Yes.
And you sent him an email.
Yeah. So that was, that's. We were just very lucky with that. Yeah. And he was a fan of the original games and said, "Hey, we're doing a sequel. Yeah. We're looking into getting investment either to go for self-publishing, or go the typical publisher route. And but we'd rather self-publish. So how about if you make an investment and we can make that happen?
Would you ever consider an investor being part of your organization and giving more money to grow your company rather than your projects?
We have considered it in the past. We even had some Chinese people coming over from one of those big companies over there.
Okay.
The closer we got to any types of very serious discussions, and they got a bit serious, the less comfortable we got, basically. It is a very close relation, especially with a company like that, with a different culture. It is. You're no longer in control of your company if you get an investor like that. Yeah. Even if they don't have a majority stake, I would say. Right. So if I have a choice, I would always stay independent. But coming to your earlier comment, I don't think you always have to have that investor in order to be successful. If you just are ambitious enough, Marcus never had an investor, and he made Minecraft, and there are a whole bunch of other examples there. Yeah. But you just I think a lot of people should be a bit more methodical in their approach to the market and their own position in that marketplace. And a lot of people just make this sounds like fun and make it. That approach won't get you.
Michiel, why would you or would you not consider an investor? I know you've thought about it. What's your view on it now?
It depends. If you are in the business of applied or serious games, which is still a lot of a work-for-hire business for most studios. Yeah. If you put
business to business, basically.
It's business to business, and generally sense, I guess you would say you could grow in the Netherlands to a studio towards 40 people. So you still can go 12 people up. Let's say if you use that model, and
you mean without investment?
Without investment, and go to a business towards maybe tops 4 or 5 million euros.
Yeah.
But if you, and that's what as an industry you want to look like, say, okay, if you want to take one of those games, make it into a product and scale up, which is a strategy if you want to go international,
Right.
then that step is going to be, that will take some investment. And the question is, as an entrepreneur, is that what you want?
Yeah.
And of course, a lot of studios I know that said, okay, we're great with 10 people, we're great with 15 people. So is that part of your DNA? And most, let's say, founders of studios that I know come from a creative background. So that combination of saying, okay, this is the ambition that, well, maybe it grows over time.
Yeah.
I think in the whole story about the top 3 position, I think in a way, this whole applied gaming field is in a much better shape than it was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
In that sense, it's getting, so maybe we are.
Would you want to be the next Dutch guerrilla games of serious gaming or applied gaming? Like, why would you want to grow to 200 or 300 people and be the dominant, great?
Be the dominant primate. That's what we all
Something
want,
like that. No, but build 20 applied games at a time.
Well, what you want to do is you want to make games that have an impact, which is a little bit further than just entertainment.
Yeah.
So you want an audience, and basically you want to make a dent in the universe.
Yeah.
So it would be great to have an international hit or have your
Right.
game really be implemented. And how this, I guess, applied series game industry was built up is with a lot of experiments, one-offs, and there wasn't enough time to develop it. And of course I want products which really, you know, can we really do something against obesitas? Can we really teach people? Can we really use that full potential? Which on, let's say, on the substance we have to figure out, and also on the business side.
Yeah.
But yeah, of course.
Guido, what's your view on investment, growing, and small
A little
startups?
bit about investment. What you're doing, most of the people here are entrepreneurs or maybe investors.
Yeah.
As a government, we don't have to do business or to invest. What we can do is to help and to facilitate. There is a program, Seed Capital, is that if there are private investors and they would like to set up a fund, and the government could help with that, and also give money at maximum of 5 million euros. So make it much bigger. Yeah. Also in the sector, just to invest. I know there was an initiative last year. Yep. It's a disappointment that it didn't succeed. But I would like to stress it's still there, so you can make use of it.
Right. Okay. And one more question, because you see a lot of different sectors. Are there any sectors that you think we could learn from in the way they deal with investments as a creative industry? Because we're a creative industry. But is there anything that you think, hey, look at those guys, how they're doing it? Like, for example, I don't know, industrial design or fashion or anything that you...
In this sector, I don't know. I know it's a bigger problem in the Netherlands. Yeah. The private investment and also private equity, it's bigger. Because in the Netherlands, we are very dependent on banks. It's in our culture, so we are more dependent on banks. You know that the
banks don't take any risks.
They don't take any risk. So what you see now is that the new alternative crowdfunding, private investment, venture capitalists come up in the Netherlands. But we have to learn more, and we have to get away from dependence on the banks.
Right.
And that's where we have to go to. So you see, in general, the same problems as you have here in the early stage. Financing, you see it everywhere in all sectors. Right. And I want to stress again, there are possibilities for guarantee schemes, for risk capital or venture capital, for the government. So contact the government also if you would like, as an independent company, if you would like to have private equity or loans, the government could also help in guarantee scheme.
Excellent, wow. And moving from that to research, because we talked about research as well, how to make the entrepreneurs ask the right questions to researchers, but the other way around as well. What have you guys, has any of you, from a company point of view, worked with researchers, been part of a research project? I know you have a little bit, Michiel, I know, but what's your opinion on how those two worlds that we all know are a bit too separated, how they can be brought together?
Well, in the world of applied games, of course, you need evidence.
Validation.
So you need scientific validation, you need market validation, because we make make big assumptions and there needs to be proof under there. Yeah. as a small company, it's in that sense, it's complicated because, as we all know, on any scale, developing games, there is not a lot of time, there's not a lot of money. So also that process that, okay, on a demo we need proof, on a prototype we need proof, on all those. And
the iterations are too long for that.
On the iterations, and maybe in the past, or at least on our side, we were too much not proactive in saying, okay, we have an assumption about a great product which can do something, which is, and then finding the scientific world to help us instead of, oh, right, you are a promovendus, great, how we can help you. So, and also the balance in if development is 10, should the validation then also be 10? Or, and I think we need to find it, but it's a delicate subject.
Leonard, have you guys ever worked with a researcher or have them analyze your company or your games or your methods to help them with their research?
I'm trying to think, but no. I think at one point we had someone from Sintons coming by doing one of those company checks, that sort of thing. But we did talk to some universities who wanted to, you know, sniff around in our processes and research that. Said no, that will just cost us time. So no, no, thank you. What sort of mess it is?
You guys have built your own. Do you run on your own engine right now? You guys use your own engine?
Yeah, we still.
So you guys have developed a lot of stuff in-house. Have you ever used research from other people? Like Arno, has he ever?
Of course, whenever we make a decision, we do research. But
I mean, okay, you Google,
well, but we also sometimes, you know, we research, we read papers on
I mean,
from universities and whatnot. But actually, to go to university and talk to people there on their ongoing stuff, no.
But I'm sure, I mean, I'm almost sure that in all those 15 years or 25 years you guys have been around, you guys have read a paper. Have you ever read a paper?
I just said that,
Oh, that's what you meant?
Yeah, we do,
Oh, you do research, so you found research, and you Google, and then you find
we have been in touch with the technical university on some subjects. We also had some grads doing research on a particular part at our company to look at some things, but actually having a close working relationship with the university, no, that's not me.
What would be for you an ideal working relationship? The thing about the iteration is a big one. I used to be on the advisory board with Arjan Brusset from Guerrilla Games for Gate, and he said the biggest problem is our iterations are too fast for the research iterations. And so we were kind of looking at this to get it synchronized. It's getting the research in the institution synchronized with the research in companies, and that was a big issue. Any views on that, or any?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I've got an old friend, actually my old neighbor where I grew up, who went to live in the United States and doing bewegingswetenschap or something. So he was big into VR and at one point, but and then something like Oculus comes along and that just totally sets his research on up inside his head. So. Yeah.
Horst, any views on that? Last, wrap it up, mister. Yeah, I looked at you and I thought you were there, and then I ignored you. No.
What was the question?
Go ahead. Research. Any view on that from a company?
No, not at all, and that's because of the speed of things. That's the only reason. We just didn't have the time. We got to release one game after another, make money with it. That's it.
Horst, can you, maybe if I can interrupt, I know in the platform there's a very great opportunity if you have a research question about a game you have. That's one of the things the platform does, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what we're trying to achieve, that researchers get on the platform together with developers and get in contact with each other. And we also need to know from the platform what's going on. We don't know. So the platform will help there as well.
Now, just to wrap it up, one question. The government has a lot of instruments, tools. I know because I work a lot with government, and I know there's a lot of instruments that we often don't know about in the game industry. So Guido can tell you everything about it. He just mentioned a few. Is there one thing that you think the government, and just to be one sentence, that you could give Guido tonight as like, what do you, is there anything else that you thought of that could be useful, that the government can do? Because some things the government is the only one that can do it, so. Continue, yeah.
Well, there are two great instruments the government does. It's a WSO subsidy for game developer.
Awesome.
And if you make a profit, which we all want, your winstbelasting goes down 20 points.
Perfect.
That's a nice one, right?
Good, yeah.
So it should be standardized if you're a game developer.
Standardized, okay. And what do you mean by that? It's automatic? Okay.
Yeah, the WBSO, it's connected more to the innovation box that will,
Okay.
yeah, will create entrepreneurship.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah. Short one. Yeah.
Match funding like Tekes does in Finland. So if 500,000 comes in from a private investor in Finland, the government actually matches it. It's not just a protection of the investment, it's a matching so that the value is doubled.
Isn't that what the thing is that you just
Actually
mentioned?
double it.
Yes,
Yeah.
so we listen carefully.
Please spread the word, because then I don't think
Well,
people
we
are aware of
will
it.
together. Yeah, yeah. Through the Horst. Quick.
Easy, more collaboration, so we understand each other's world better. That is something that I would like.
Okay. Yeah.
I think certain efforts on incubation should shift more towards acceleration.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Good points. Guido,
Very
final
good.
close.
Maybe one thing is that we cooperate very closely in what we call the Golden Triangle: researchers, the entrepreneurs, and the government. We need each other just to make be the number one of Europe. One final say to spread the word. Today it opened the MIT, the MIT-regeling.
Yeah.
It's the SME Innovation Top Sector regeling. 55 million euros. It's especially for entrepreneurs who would like to have vouchers, just to go to a research institute.
Haalbaarheidsstudie.
The feasibility study.
Yeah.
Just feasibility studies.
Yeah.
Just go to rvo.nl. You can read a lot of things about it. I know that last year a lot of gamers used this instrument.
Excellent, excellent. I want to thank the panel very much. So a warm applause for the panel. Thank you, awesome. And this kind of stuff we can obviously share on Drives. So also for you to know that Drives is something that you can sign up for today, even now. While I'm saying boring stuff, you can sign up. So thanks, guys. We're gonna move on to the next part. So we'll talk to you at the break.